Welcome to episode 32 here of Drew's Baseball Crew here on this Friday, not Saturday here, episode 32 of the Baseball Crew here on, again, Friday, June 30th. Yes, we moved it up to a Friday this week. I decided to be best here, preview the full slate here. And, with the first game at 120, I felt we have enough time here to get through everything, talk about all the teams, talk about the weather, whatnot. And if you're playing a late slate, this is perfect. We're going to be going through that as well. So moved it again to Friday. Going to a card show tomorrow in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. I'll be at a regional baseball sports card show, not just baseball, but looking forward to that. It's gonna be a great experience, and hopefully can pick up some great cards there. And yeah, I mean, I haven't been to one. I'm intrigued to see. I've been to smaller card shows, but not something to this, level. So yeah, that's about me. But let's go here right away into the slate. You all know the drill. We're gonna go right to the weather report here. We got to make sure, you know, we understand what's going on here. And first, I'll start with looking at rain. And good news is today is I don't think we have anything greater than 20% chance of rain. Right when I say that we have a 35% and a 32% chance I saw, but really other than that, it looks like rain is probably not going to be an issue today, which is good. We haven't been able to say that in a lot of slates. So of course the dome stadiums are fine, but really, I mean, a lot of like 1 to 10%, the usual. So I'm not worried at all. Looks like we're gonna have baseball tonight. So see that. And over then looking, how is the weather itself gonna impact, run score, unexpected, whatnot. If we go park factors, right, ball comes in hand at there we see, right, Coors Field, of course, they're leads the way. And with that, we have a plus 18% of change in runs. So, yeah, right. I mean, Coors Field is doing its thing. It can be higher as we've seen, but in this case, only plus 18%. So, just keeping that in mind, the extra base hits is the big one today, plus 24% change. Huge. And then we also have Great American Ballpark, of course, plus 15% change in runs, plus 10% with Citizens Bank, and Oriole Park, Truist Park plus 9, PNC Park plus 8%, and then Kauffman plus 5. A few negative ones, Global -7, T-Mobile -8, Oakland -8 as well. It's hard to say for Global's dome today. I mean, so it's going to be closed. So, like, how that run, I'm not too worried about the run expectancy there. But for T-Mobile also has a roof. I'm more worried about like Oakland, City Field, those places. So, just keeping that in mind. But like the pitchers that are there, right? Looking through matchups. So we took James Paxton last week. If you follow along, we saw he did get pulled with injury concern. But the good news was it looks like he's all good. He's gonna make another start. And with London, I mean, the player I was looking at and who I was saying you got to get today is Ian Happ. He goes for 2 home runs in London. It was awesome. Just back to back at bats, and it was like, yes, a good feeling there. Actually, let's actually start with hitters. Let's go this way. Worked out well last week too, just talking through them in this order. So to start, let's go through some really good numbers for certain players. Just Alex Verdugo is going to lead us off here. 7 for 17 off of Jose Barrios for his career 1 home run as well. OPS over 1,000. Nice start there, Verdugo. Jazz Chisholm, he is 7 for 20 off Charlie Martin, 2 home runs. OPS, again, over 1,000, near 1,100. So Chisholm and Verdugo are going to lead us off there. Some good options. Kyle Schwarber, who has continued to be hot, homers yesterday. Guess what? He's got good numbers off Josiah Gray. He has 2 home runs to 2 walks to 4 strikeouts, OPS over 1,300 there in 15 plate appearances against. That's great to see. And then we go to Andrew McCutchen, who has success against Freddie Peralta for his career. If you're interested in taking McCutchen, Mitch Haniger, I believe he's hurt, so I don't think we can include him here. But he does have good numbers, in fact, off of Carlos Carrasco, and yeah, he's still on the IL. No, that's football. No, IL is injured list. I almost said IR, which would be football. So hopefully Haniger gets back out on the field soon. But then next we'll go to Nick Castellanos, who is batting, right? I mean, who had 2 home runs a few games ago, and he's got 3 home runs off Josiah Gray for his career in only 11 plate appearances. So really good numbers for Castellanos. Definitely would want to look into him today. Trey Turner off Josiah Gray. So you're seeing, we're seeing a lot of Josiah Gray against. We'll definitely check out 2 matchups and stuff. We have to look how Gray's been pitching as of late, kind of to formulate how we want to go about this. Overall, and then we go to Jaron Duran, who has had success off Jose Barrios. We'll check if he's in the lineup there. Jorge Alfaro has had great success against Michael Lorenzen. Again, that's going to be at Coors today, so we'll be monitoring that one. Lindor has had success off of Cobb, 4 for 13 there. Just some singles, not too much power there in the matchup for his career. Otherwise, Christian Walker has good numbers against Griffin Canning, who has pitched well as of late, so we got to keep that one in mind too. Otherwise, those are the main matchups. Not a lot of history between guys today, so that's where we're gonna have to look at just overall how guys perform against, like right-handers, left-handers, and that's where Ballpark Pal again comes in handy, right? We can check out top matchups. It helps us break down weather as well. So going through this is right. We end up seeing a lot of Colorado, of course, just with the nature of right what's going on there, but it's interesting to look at. So again, look at like over unders. Let's look what Vegas it thinks is going to be going on. That's usually a great way how we can map out what we're looking at in terms of runs scored. So I mentioned just a few guys you could plug into your lineup. So there's a lot of guys with Philly that I think are in good spots to plug in there. But otherwise, the lines, some of them aren't even. They're not even sure on some of these, like the White Sox Oakland one, but the big games, they have lines first, so we're good. A lot of the over under that leads the way, of course, is Colorado, 11.5. But then we see a few 9.5s, so that's important to monitor. For example, Washington and Philly. We see Cincinnati and San Diego at 11. They're priced out almost higher than Coors, so that is something we're gonna have to monitor. Again, Graham Ashcraft's pitching, so who tends to be more of a fly ball pitcher too. And when that happens at a ballpark like Cincinnati, I think there's going to be a lot of runs there today. So I definitely want to prioritize Cincinnati and Colorado, those games. But then I also want to still look at some of these other ones. I think Philly, there's a lot of potential for some runs there. The lowest over under is in Seattle because we got Bryce Miller and we have Shane McClanahan going. And McClanahan, as you see, is the thumbnail. We'll be talking, right? If you can pay up on the pitcher report that I'll do at the end here, he is going to be your guy. But before we go back to some of those other matchups, we got to talk about Point Brewery. Yes, the root beer is here, and it's with a name change. It still has the same great taste, right? Now it's 0.0 sugar root beer, and it still tastes, right, that same diet root beer taste. It's back. It's better than ever, of course. And again, it's perfect, great weekend here, 4th of July coming up. I actually have a Point Brewery shirt on right now, too. Just got to represent, the brand. I was able to make it over there last week. It was on the social media page at Your Sports Crew. Great experience, great brewery, right? Great people. I think that's the big thing with Stevens Point. It brings people together. They're a Point Brewery, and I would definitely Check it out. Their link is down below. Let's talk about some top matchups today. All right. So Detroit has been swinging like the bat wise. They've been better as of late, right? Credit Spencer Torkelson hit his 11th home run yesterday. I think things like that, right, with Torkelson and others picking it up is like we definitely want to have them in a Colorado slate. I wouldn't have thought this is the case. They hit lefties well. They have guys who specialize in hitting lefties well. They probably are going with a relative, like mostly all right-handed lineup since Riley Green's out, or right-handed lineup, yeah. So what that means is you have guys who dominate against left-handed pitching. Matt Vierling, he stands out, right? He's going to be leadoff hitter. They got him in the Gregory Soto trade. He's a great option. Andy Ibanez has done well. Eric Haas, he's been he's a guy who plays catcher, corner outfield, and can definitely slot in there and he can hit. He can hit left-handed pitching. So the guys who I'm looking at, definitely looking at Vierling. I think Vierling's in a great spot today, and they like him, of course, on Ballpark Pal as well. And then also Andy Ibanez. I think both those guys are going to be really good options today. And right, I think actually Detroit's in a better spot here with Gomber pitching ERA over 7 right now through a good chunk of starts. So just keeping that in mind. So my stack would be like it'd be it'd be like Vierling and then Ibanez at 1-3. And then I'm actually looking at their catcher, who I think they're going to play today, Jake Rogers. Ballpark crowd loves his spot. Hits well. Runs created percent change day of plus 51%. He actually has one of the largest home run boosts of the day as well. But overall, the player profile, it's a good spot for Rogers today. So I think I found your catcher, Jake Rogers, and then going with Andy Ibanez and Matt Vierling. That is the spots I would roll with in that game. Don't worry, Colorado. Like I'm waiting. I'm kind of monitoring where I'd go with Colorado. I think I wouldn't stack Colorado, but I think there's enough upside there that I would definitely include them. Right, Lorenzen, a right-handed pitcher, handles righties themselves pretty well. I'm looking really at Nolan Jones and Jorge Alfaro. So Alfaro, right? I mentioned the good numbers off Lorenzen. So he'd be an option. Then also just Nolan Jones, how he's performed at Colorado against right-handed pitching. He's definitely a guy when a righty's in there. I always give the Corey Dickerson example. I think this is a guy you're going to want today. So Jones, Alfaro, and then I mentioned the 3 guys from Detroit again, Vierling, Ibanez, and Rogers. So that's how we're going to assess that game. Let's go to Cincinnati. Let's see how we're going to do that one. So, right, monitoring, it's Graham Ashcraft again versus Seth Lugo. I'm not taking any of these guys, any of these pitchers in the games I've mentioned. Nope, no way. But we have to acknowledge, right, this is the upside with these guys, with San Diego, right? I mean, you could easily pay up and get stars today. We know the price on that. It's gonna be pretty steep, right? They're gonna be adjusted. The inflation on them is gonna be nuts. So this is where, right, a guy like Trent Grisham, homers yesterday, decent spot for him today. Hits righties well, probably batting the bottom of the order though. Definitely like what we see from him. Ha-Seong Kim has been hot lately. He's been scorching hot, right? You get some upside with him for steals potentially, and just overall, he's a good fantasy player. He's a good guy to get you points. So, not saying you have to cheap out and get those bottom of the order guys, but they're definitely reasonably, there's a good spot for them today. But talking like star wise, I like Juan Soto today as well. So I'm not like just saying you have to get those guys on lighter salary. I think Soto is gonna do well today, so I'd be monitoring him. He's my favorite of the Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, Soto today. So that lets you know kind of where I'm at. Cincinnati wise, you might be wondering, who am I taking there? I was the guy I said take Tyler Stevenson. He had great career numbers. Like last week, like when we were talking great, I think the average, like he wasn't even getting out against the pitcher. I don't remember who it was, but what happens is they bench Tyler Stevenson. They give him rest on the day he dominates the opposing pitcher. And I was like, oh, that's baseball. That is baseball. And I bet the coaching staff didn't even know that. I bet they didn't even know his career numbers against the starter. And I'm like, oh, come on. But oh well. Seth Lugo again going for San Diego already. So looking just kind of how they're going to map out their lineup. I think Jonathan India is a guy who would be a pretty good play today. Looking second base. If you're not taking Kim, India's going to be that middle of the Reds lineup. Ellie De La Cruz is going to be insanely priced. I do not recommend today, unfortunately, just based on getting value. So looking at India, looking at, again, Tyler Stevenson, I'd take him again today. I think this spot is good. Bottom of the Reds lineup, that's a really good Reds lineup too. As a Brewer fan, it's scary to say, but certainly is. And I'm looking at Stevenson, looking at India, those two for sure in this lineup. And then if you need a first baseman, Joey Votto would be a decent play for me as well. However, I want to go over to the Philly National game where I think there are two or three hitters from Philly who I'd want to plug in. Schwarber, depending on price. And then definitely, probably not Turner, just based on all our shortstops we can get today. Nick Castellanos. I think those guys are both in. You're getting good value today. You're also getting a top of the Philly lineup that, right, over under of 9.5, decent numbers. Weather's good there. It fits kind of like the three criteria on that. So love to see that. So then those guys I might like pick from different games. I kind of talked about maybe get a guy or two from the Philly game or which I mentioned, the Boston Toronto game. I mentioned some of those guys already. But otherwise, you could just kind of stick to that there, right? I think there's enough value you're getting that'll make that worthwhile. So let's kind of go through here now. Talk through those pitchers here before we wrap up. I mentioned McClanahan. Definitely the top guy I'm looking at today. Other guys who have intriguing numbers, Pablo Lopez has some good numbers against the current Orioles roster, XBA against the 248. Freddie Peralta has very good numbers against this current Pirates roster, although I mentioned McCutcheon having success. XBA of 171, xWOBA of 234, and 42 career plate appearances against. Wouldn't mind Peralta. If you're doing two-pitcher, Peralta, McClanahan, if you can pay up and afford to do that, definitely think that would be a move that I would want to pursue. But otherwise, like I mentioned James Paxton, I'm hoping we can get that same kind of upside for him today. But a different result because unfortunately having to leave for injury concerns. He's got phenomenal numbers against his Blue Jays roster. XP of 239, exit velo under 90 miles per hour. It's phenomenal numbers. I want James Paxton again. Alex Cobb makes his return, and he has great numbers against the struggling New York Mets. XBA of 204, and love his numbers against exit velo 84.8. Carlos Carrasco 84.5 miles per hour exit velo against xWOBA of 271. So a lot of good options here for pitchers as we see. John Gray has been hot as of late. Actually, I love his spot against the Astros. Definitely would be considering Gray here. Again, XP of 234, exit velo 86.7. Severino had a great start as of late. Is against the St. Louis Cardinals. XP of 192. That's a small sample size though, but nonetheless, Severino had a great start as of late. Want to monitor that. Can Griffin Canning keep his stretch of great starts going against the Arizona Diamondbacks? I'm kind of concerned it's a good matchup for Arizona, or not a good matchup for Canning rather. And then McClanahan is a must roster for me, hence him in the thumbnail. So going through the pitchers again, McClanahan, would love to see him in your lineups. And then John Gray, Alex Cobb, James Paxton, Freddie Peralta, and potentially Pablo Lopez. Those are the options I would recommend today, and I wish you all the best of luck here on this slate here, June 30th. Again, my lineup will be up at Drew Sports Crew, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. All right, I'll have it up on social media and YouTube Shorts as well, Drew Sports Crew, and Facebook, Drew Sports Crew. So that's going to wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on this Friday morning. Everyone have a great weekend. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.